let's see. And look, let me just make it clear. I think Anthony Joshua would be happy to fight Deontay Wilder. He is a fighter and he is a warrior, and I think it would be a great fight, and I think he'd be up for it. But the people around him will be guiding and navigating a way through this storm.
Pro boxing fans here in Riyadh for the big one, the battle of the baddest, the battle of the biggest. Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou, both of them just done their workout. Sahni, first of all. How are you finding all of this? It is pretty impressive, isn't it?
I love it, mate. I love it. I mean, it's big time, right? The whole tagline of Riyadh season has been big time, and it has been nothing but big time ever since I landed here on Sunday. And it's been a brilliant week, and the people are really nice, and you're treated really nice, and the investment that the Saudi guys are putting into boxing, putting into the sport, is just great news for all boxing fans. They're making things happen, and look at this. This is just a workout today. When have you ever seen a workout like this? Normally, you're in a snotty shopping centre somewhere, right? No one's there. Maybe someone's grand goes past. Oh, who's that? Who's that? No, this is big time, mate. Love it.
Respect to obviously Turkey Sheikh and everyone else involved in the making of this. Let's talk about this one. A lot of people are saying, look, obviously there's this extra caveat of December 23rd, Oleksandr Usyk, undisputed fight. A lot of people saying, look, Tyson Fury should do the job fair, quite easily. He controls that ring. He's a master of that ring. What threat does Francis Ngannou pose in your eyes?
It's the unknown. It's the unknown. Francis Ngannou hasn't really been trained in traditional boxing for years and years and years. So with traditional boxers, there's only a certain amount of things that they're going to do, right? With Francis Ngannou, you don't really know what he's going to do. But what you do know is that in his world, in the MMA world, he could hit very, very hard, and he would put people's lights out. Have you seen his knockout of Alistair Overeem? If you haven't, go and watch that. Because goodness me, if you haven't seen that, and I know you have seen that. Do you know what happened to Alistair Overeem's head? It was back by his heels. That's how hard this guy hits. Guinness Book of World Records, right? Go look it up. Hopefully it's still in there. But he's in there for punching harder than any other man on earth. That's who Tyson Fury's got in front of him. He might not even need to land clean, Imagine if he lands a glancing blow. Imagine if Tyson's legs do a little bit of a wobble. I wouldn't want to be fighting this man. Would you?
I'm very impressed that you've actually dug out some MMA footage and, clicked on Francis Ngannou's greatest highlights and sort of gone off that. So fair play. Been following his whole career. But let's talk about this fight that he's got on December 23rd with Oleksandr Usyk. How much now does it mean that Tyson needs to get in there, get the job done, make sure no cuts, no injuries, before this big one in 2 months' time?
Well, look, I think he's just going to try and knock him out straight away. I don't think he's going to be messing about in there. I think the show and the build-up is all of this. This is the show, and there'll be an amazing opening show, by the way, on Saturday night. That's all the show. I think when the first bell rings, I don't think you're going to see much messing about. I think Tyson will have a little look at him, and he'll treat him as a fire that he just needs to put out as quickly as possible. Don't take any chances. So, yeah, it's important. He's not going to be, I don't think anyway, looking to get a few rounds or anything like that. You can't really do that with a guy like Francis Ngannou, where you don't really know what to expect. So when you don't know what to expect, just get rid of the problem as quickly as you can.
Let's talk about Oleksandr Usyk. It's crazy how boxing sort of works. A lot of people only a couple of months ago saying, listen, Tyson, doesn't want to fight. He just wants to fight for the money. Doesn't have no ambition. Rejecting the Usyk fight and whatever else a lot of people are talking about. A couple of months down the line, obviously he's the main man who now seems to have control of this Riyadh setup, of the Saudi Arabia setup, fighting Oleksandr Usyk on December 23rd. How things have changed in your eyes, Dev? You were talking about it a few months ago, actually, to be fair.
When did he reject the Usyk fight?
As in, that was what a lot of people are saying, that Tyson Fury didn't want the Usyk fight, even though all these purses were being thrown, all these numbers were being thrown. That was what people were saying.
So he never rejected it. And I think that's part of the problem. There was this narrative out there, amazingly, despite cold, hard facts being presented, despite Alex Krasik, Usyk's team saying we've pulled Usyk out of the negotiations, people are still saying Tyson Fury pulled out of this. He never pulled out of a fight with Oleksandr Usyk. He never rejected a fight with Oleksandr Usyk. Every time he's been presented with one, he has said yes. He has consistently been the one saying yes. It just hasn't happened. He said yes again. It's happening. Here we are. So, providing he gets through Francis Ngannou, then we're there. And I think people should be quite ashamed of themselves, genuinely, for going for this route, for buying this kind of story that Tyson Fury, again, the man who went to Germany to dethrone Vladimir Klitschko without any ounce of fear, dancing around topless in his hotel room the night before, the man who put out the fire of Deontay Wilder 3 times on away turf, for people to think that he would be scared of Oleksandr Usyk, who in previous fights has shown vulnerabilities, not just Daniel Dubois, Derek Chisora before that. I just think they were wrong, and they should think about it.
I think I was watching someone from True Geordie who was saying this probably was too much money that he couldn't refuse not to take the fight. Then Eddie said, something. I know that's what you're saying. And then obviously Eddie said, he wanted a lot of money. He's got a lot of money. That's why we're seeing the fight. Do you believe that?
Let me ask you something. So Eddie's saying he's only taking the fight because it's so much money. So why isn't Anthony Joshua fighting Deontay Wilder? Why isn't that fight happening? I'll tell you why. Because they want so much money. But that money's not achievable. It doesn't look like it anyway. So it's all about the money for everyone. Everyone wants to make as much as possible. That's why you're not seeing Anthony Joshua fight Deontay Wilder, because they thought they were going to get crazy, crazy amounts of money. Suddenly, the money's been halved, or maybe there's a third of it, or maybe there's a quarter. Suddenly, it's not worth the risk. They could do that at Wembley. They could do that at Las Vegas. They're not doing it. Why's that?
It is what it is. We know the sort of situation with that fight. Anyway, do you want to talk about moving on to that fight? Deontay Wilder releasing a video on his Instagram, calling out Anthony Joshua publicly now, saying, "Listen, forget the politics. We need to just make this fight happen, just for the sake of boxing. We can't retire with this fight not happening."
He's always wanted it, Un. Let me tell you, he has always wanted it. The one time that where he got a bit of heat for not taking the fight, he wasn't offered a one-fight deal. He was offered a network deal with DAZN, and he turned that down. Right? He's the one who's always wanted this fight, because why wouldn't you? You got to think, when at the point where it was first talked about, his profile wasn't particularly big. He was just a belt holder who was very dangerous, who knocked everyone out. Right? Anthony Joshua was this superstar. So why would you not want to go and fight Anthony Joshua? And he wanted to do it. Asked for 50 million. He come up with the 50 million. Didn't happen. He has always wanted that fight, and him putting out that video tells me he wants the fight. Let's see. And look, let me just make it clear. I think Anthony Joshua would be happy to fight Deontay Wilder. He is a fighter and he is a warrior, and I think it would be a great fight, and I think he'd be up for it. But the people around him will be guiding and navigating a way through this storm, and probably try their best to ignore that video that went out.
I agree with that. Obviously, I've been around, like you have, around a lot of fighters. We know that the fighters want to fight. I've not seen a fighter who's shied from a fight. Let's put it that way. It might be people in the team or whatever else. Finally, before I do let you go, talking about Anthony Joshua, going away for 4 days in dark retreat, what do you make of that? A lot of people obviously don't know what to make of it, because it's something that nobody else has done. But what do you make of that?
Listen, it's his business. My feeling is that he's a guy who's had a lot of pressure on him for many years, probably pressure that he never expected to have in his life when he first laced up the gloves, and sometimes that crown can be quite heavy, and he's a deep thinker at times, and maybe this is going to be good for him. I think a happy, active, firing Anthony Joshua is good for boxing. It's good for everyone. It's good for the heavyweight division. It's good for fights to be linked with him, because he's still a superstar. So I hope he finds that peace. I hope he fights Deontay Wilder.
Cool, Dev. It is 11 p.m. So I'm going to let you go. No doubt I'll see you in the week. Tomorrow's the press conference and the work weigh-in, and then the big one. I'll see you then. Take care, Dev. Sahni, thank you very much for talking to Pro Boxer fans.
See you then, my friend.